be on your exam. Now, the clever people among you will notice that these have an extraordinarily large gap between Interpol and cybercrime. That might be there by accident. It also similarly might be there to give you an idea of different sections of an exam. But I don't know, it could have been a mistake as I was typing up. Chance to write that down. Okay, those of you who've been to the seminars will have picked up a few hints about how questions might be phrased. Similarly, the seminar questions for different subjects will have given you some clues as to what might be included. Those of you who are really kind of far ahead and aware have downloaded previous exam papers for this course. Are there 3 or 4, is that right, Ali? Available online for this course. And I think when writing these, Ali might have been struggling for inspiration. There's quite a lot of similarities between previous papers and these papers. Okay. In terms of the way the questions are phrased, obviously the topics are slightly different. Has everyone had long enough for that slide? Okay. So now I'm going to reiterate the kind of advice I gave you about when the class were over about 6 weeks ago about the exam, how to write it. Okay, it is a long exam. Okay. Particularly harsh. I think 3 hours is harsh. I think that's a bit mean. But sorry, that's how it is. I don't have any say over it. Okay. Again, like any kind of other exam, you're not allowed a dictionary, calculator, a book, tattoos of the answers up your arm, anything like that. The exam comes in 2 sections, section A and section B. Just to reiterate. Essentially A and B. Okay, you have to answer 1 question from section A and 1 question from section B, and then you can choose any third question from either section. Right, to give you some hints of how to prepare for an exam this long, what to do. Okay, before the exam, not in the exam, but before the exam, from now onwards, have a think about what might be included in the exam. Basically, I could have done that for you. Okay. You can also have a start to think what kind of questions might be used, which ones were mentioned in the seminar, which ones did I cough a lot when I mentioned in the seminars. Okay. Which ones been similar to past papers, things like that. So have a think about the kind of question that might come up. Okay, when you've chosen your topics, reread the lecture slides for that topic and any notes that you made. Have a think about what the discussion was in the seminars that you attended. Okay, what did we talk about? What did we kind of really focus on? So my suggestion then would be to make your own bullet point notes. I know some people like to write out whole essays and then learn them. If that's what you want to do that. I could never do that. I used to get 2 bullet points, but you know by now, other essays, what works for you. Okay? So just remember the word dead, not because you feel like dying, but write it down as an acronym and learn it. Okay? Because when you're struggling to know what to write, just remember that you're meant to define, explain, analyse and discuss. So if you're stuck on a subject and you can't remember anything else to write, go back to one of these questions and see what you can write about that. Okay? Got to find an acronym that's not suppressive. Okay. During the exam, make sure you take time to think. 3 hours is a heck of a lot of time. Okay? There's probably not much chance that your hands will actually work for 3 hours. Okay, so take the time to think as well. There's no need to panic at all. Okay? You've got time, you've got the understanding, you've got the knowledge. Okay, so just have a think about it. So most questions as well have a topic, a task, and a hint. Okay, pretty much every question is based on those 3 things. So in this example question, which is not on your exam, because it's about terrorism, you've already been assessed on terrorism. Terrorism is the act of individuals. Okay, discuss this crime in relation to your understanding of transnational organised crime. Okay, so the topic in this example is terrorism and organised crime. Okay, goes for itself really. You can grasp that one if you haven't been to any lectures. Okay, the task, the word is in there anyway, but discuss. Okay. So in discussing something, you might want to consider, does the literature that you've read so far, or what you learned in your lecture, does that kind of agree with the statement that terrorism is the act of individuals, or does it disagree with that statement? Okay, how does it agree or disagree? There's normally a hint as well, in terms of what the marker would like you to talk about, the way they're wanting you to engage. Sometimes it'll be something like critically discuss, or evaluate the research, words like that. Okay. So for example, in this one, the hint is that final statement. Sorry, not that final statement at all. So the hint, is whether the first statement. Okay, is terrorism an act of individuals? Okay, or is it highly organised, funded, and supported by wider groups? Okay. We also talk about organised crime. So in what ways is terrorism organised? What ways does it work? Okay. This is obviously an essay you won't be doing, but just bear in mind to take note of the topic, the task, and the hint. Okay? By taking that bit of time and not feeling like you've got to write straight away, you need to be able to draw out from the question what the topic, task, and hint are. Okay? Okay, plan your essays. When I did my undergrad, I was one of those students that would start writing before I'd even read the question, and carry on writing until the end, and not be able to move my hand for 3 days afterwards. I never planned my essays. I just decided to vomit everything I knew about that subject onto the paper. It's been really scraggly writing. Okay? It's not a good way of doing it. The best responses are shorter and well structured. Okay, so take your time to plan your answer. Hopefully I've made this easy enough for you, because topics you know might come up, you'll be able to plan before you go in and have an idea of what you want to say. I just reiterated another plan bit there for you to read yourselves. Some of the things I've mentioned already. Make sure that you make a statement about what the essay is about. Okay? something a lot of you did very well in your essays that you submitted was explain to me what you were going to tell me. You explained exactly what it was you were going to talk about, what you were going to do, and why. And that's a really good way of doing it. Okay. Again, just go back over the hints. Make sure you plan those into your response. Okay. Then finally, after you've spent your time thinking and spent your time planning, then start writing. Okay, some people like to do one essay at a time, so think, plan, then write, then do it all again for another one. Other people like to plan 3 essays to start with, and then just write. Go with whatever works for you. Okay, you've got this class, you've obviously got systems at work. Okay. You don't need to waste time repeating the question to me. Okay. I remember marking a first year essay, I'll go back to terrorism, 1 minute, sorry. It said something like, if this was a question, well, the question whether terrorism is an act of individuals is one that must be discussed in relation to the understanding of transnational organised crime. Transnational organised crime is related to the understanding of terrorism, and whether that's an act of individuals or an act of groups. And then proceeded about 3 paragraphs to repeat the same words in different orders in the question. Okay, and you're in a real panic mode. That's where you plan what you're going to write. Okay, you don't need to waste your time repeating the questions back to me. I know what the question was. Okay, tell me how you're going to structure your essay. Okay. Follow a kind of sequence. Some questions you might want to take a chronological and kind of start on it. So you might decide to tell me how things have changed from one point to another. Other times you might want to take a view from different theoretical backgrounds. Okay. Whatever works for you, whatever sequence works, stick to. Okay, just be clear what you're doing. Make sure you kind of start my way of doing it, right? Every paragraph started with what you're going to say in that paragraph. So you can make your claim in the first sentence maybe to that paragraph. And then use the rest of that paragraph to reinforce the point. Okay, it'll help you, if you start to write like that, it'll help you be a lot clearer. Okay, it'll make it obvious and you're backing up your claims. Okay, so that's called adding support to your assertions. Okay, explain, in your discussion, explain how it relates to the question. When you write, be direct. I'm not judging your grammatical ability and your spelling in an exam. Okay, so if you find that you find short sentences easier, that's fine. Okay, try not to have 16-line sentences because it means you just have to spend ages working out what you're going to say. Okay, keep it sort of snappy. Keep making your points. What a lot of you did really, really well in the essays on mark so far as well is use signposting. So you discuss a part of the question and then you say, having discussed this, I'm now moving on to this. Okay, what it does then to the person reading it is think, right, okay, now I'll get them. They mention that, but they're moving on. Just reminding, what you're doing all the time is reminding the reader, it is really, really boring, marking the same thing again and again. Okay? Anything you can do just to remind them that you've made a point is going to help you. Okay, so you can use certain signals like, there are 3 reasons why, and then whatever the question is. Firstly, secondly, thirdly. Okay. If you're making some comparison between countries, you can say, in Northern Europe this happens, however in South America, no. Okay. I'm sure you all do this already. It shouldn't be like news to you. Okay. You're all very accomplished final year students. Otherwise I'd found some to fail so far and haven't. Okay. So you all do this kind of thing. It's just to kind of remind you when you go into the exam. Okay. Any time, we've got time now for any questions. What I've also got here is a list of times to sign up to if you want to come and ask me anything. You can't ask me now, as a group or separately. Okay, what I also want to do, I'll go back to the questions bit. But I've been asked to instruct you all, or ask you very nicely, because I'm like that, okay, to fill in the module evaluation. Okay? The module evaluation on Blackboard, I know it must seem frustrating because you're now finishing and therefore it's not going to help you in any way. But what it does is, what we take from the module evaluation is a report for the external examiner. Okay? When they get our marked copies of your papers, they also get a report of what you graded for teaching, what you think of the teaching, what you found useful, what you struggle to understand. Okay? It's useful for them. It's also useful for your whole group. It's very useful for the following years. Okay? So we look at these before we start the following year and decide whether we need to make any changes to the module. Okay? Personally, for me as well, it's also useful. Okay? Having taken on this module halfway through, okay, somebody else's module, it's useful for me to know how you felt you understood it. Okay, have I helped you with anything in particular? Have I made anything clear for you? Or has all I've done really confused you and make you want to do the world to do? Okay? Don't put it in. Okay, so it's useful for me, for my planning, for what I know for the future, and feedback to my employers. Okay? That's why I'd really like you to, if you don't mind. I also did some more kittens there. Because everybody needs a little bouquet of kittens. But generally now, I've got loads of time for any questions that anybody wants to ask in the whole group or separately. Yeah?
Referencing, I want to know about that.
Yeah. If you're, in my opinion, right, some people's brains work in a particular way that remembers dates and years and people. Other people's don't. Okay? I'm not going to judge you if your brain doesn't remember stuff like that. Okay? But you might remember the term something like, some academics, they just feel blank. Okay, that will make me think, oh, they knew what they wanted to say, but they couldn't remember the name. So I'd mark it as if you had remembered the name. Yeah?
Can you just remember the name and not the date? Is that okay, too? Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I can't remember dates.
Yes, and I'll demonstrate other referencing to the same extent. I also don't need a list of references at the end. Okay? So you can use things like, if you forget years, you can say UN data. Or you can say a researcher once did research. Whatever it is, okay? I'm not going to judge you by your ability to remember names, because that's not a judge, it's a test of your intellect. Excellent.
Do you get marked up, though, if you use more references?
Not because you remember the names, but you might get marked up if you remembered, you can demonstrate why you're reading. Okay? If you can demonstrate that not only have you done is kind of read your lecture notes, but you've also done a couple of bits of key reading, then it will help you mark. Anything that makes us stand out from others is going to help.
If we get run out of time and you've got a point, would you mark down as well?
Yes, yeah. I always mark plans if the essay's not there. Okay, so if you run out of time and you're halfway through your third essay and you've got 2 minutes left, just do a list of bullet points about what you would have included. Okay, what that will do, I mean obviously it won't give you exactly the same mark if you've written the whole thing, but what it will do is it shows me that you actually wanted to say a lot more and you understood a lot more, but you ran out of time, and that's fine.
And also, are we to write in a third person or can we be I?
I've got no preference at all. Yeah, on that one. Yeah, I know some people get really smoky about how it's written. I don't mind. Yeah. Trying to refrain from like being rude. Don't need to draw me. I had first year once said that the questions were too hard and they were going to draw you a flower. And they did this really kind of intricate flower. They did fail, but it was but, yeah. So just try and write stuff. Okay, I'm not going to give you extra marks if you've got pretty pictures. Okay. Any other questions?
Do you know what we've got planned? Are we to make sure that do they look at plans or?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I won't be sort of able to get back to you immediately with things. But yeah, and I'm happy to answer questions or look at things by email.
Or will you be in the office or
Email's probably best, because then if I need to see you, I can arrange time with you then. But I'll be in the office today if anybody's got any questions about how they plan or what they want to do or anything else. Any other questions? No, I'll be here anyway.